Hello, and welcome back to Pump with Purpose. This is Dr. Diana here, and I am here to talk about our next podcast episode. So, I want to let you know a little bit about me. I am Dr. Diana. I'm a doctor of public administration, a certified lactation counselor, a certified breastfeeding specialist, and a certified postpartum doula. I am the CEO and founder of Pump with Purpose. We are a global lactation and postpartum private practice, helping women, teaching women all across the world to breast pump. So you can find us on 15 social media platforms. Our biggest is Instagram. And so we would love to see you over there. If you want more information, we do a weekly question box. We do lives twice a week, at least right now. We are in our stories every single day. We post at least 2 pieces of content every single day. And so we would love to have you over there if you would like to get more information related to pumping. So let's jump into this podcast episode. If you want to find us, we are at www.pumpwithpurpose.com. Again, that's www.pumpwithpurpose.com. We offer premier pumping consults, one-on-one virtual consults. We have seen over 2,500 clients in 2 years worldwide. We help you to find the right pump, flange, products, and schedule. And in that, we hope it helps you to increase your milk supply so you can feed your baby from your body and not be stressed. Understand how to pump based on your body with a primary pump, with a flange size that is also correct in size, but also type, pumping products that are conducive to your body, such as pumping bras, in the right schedule, which depends on if you're nursing and pumping, or pumping only. We see people in our practice that are either nursing and pumping or pumping only. Really half and half between those two, nursing and pumping only. We really help you to add a pump to your journey, regardless if that's exclusively or in addition to nursing. So let's jump into this episode for this week. This is the breast pump storage edition. If there was a question that we get so often, it is all about breast milk storage. I know it can be confusing, but the place that we like to go, we'll give it to you up front, is the CDC. They have a proper breast milk storage web page on their website that has a lot of tips and tricks on where this was pulled in from. When we looked at our research to add it as a blog post, we always give you where we like to find our research, because we definitely like to let you know things that are found in research, especially when it comes to how to store your milk safely. So let's jump right in. First and foremost, safe storage of breast milk. You want to wash your hands with soap and water, or use alcohol based hand sanitizer, like something that's really cleaning your hands to clean the germs off of your hands. Breast milk can be expressed by hand or with manual or electric pump, or some type of silicone milk collector. Of course, if you're over here on Pump with Purpose, you know that we support electric pumping, and in more detail, we support double electric pumping. So if you're using a pump, be sure to clean each of the parts. Like, we really want to make sure that your parts are clean with each and every use. We really support washing your parts or having multiple sets of parts and only washing a few times a day. But with the pump products, we either want you to wash with each use or to have additional parts. And so again, we're going to put it out there. We don't support putting your parts into the refrigerator. We've talked about that on multiple occasions, but we don't support that, and we do not support we want to make sure you have clean parts each and every time. Also, we don't have an opinion on pump wipes. We get that question a lot as well, because of the controversy associated with the chemicals. So if you read the pump wipes that you are interested in using, and if it's safe in your mind for you and your baby to be able to use that type of pump wipe, then definitely do what's best for you. But we either support washing your parts with each and every session, soap and water, or to use additional parts and wash a few times a day. So let's get into the next step. So storing breast milk after expressing, use breast milk bags or a clean food grade container with tight fitting lids to store. Never store breast milk in disposable bottle liners or plastic bags that are not intended for storing. So there are breast pump bags on the market, and or a bottle, the food that is safe for storing the milk into a food grade container. So definitely the bottles that you pump in can be used. You just put the lid on it and you can store it until you're ready to serve, or give it to your baby, and or freeze it in a storage bag or reusable storage bag, whichever works best for you based on your goals, or reusable storage container. It doesn't have any indication. It's just about what works best for you based on how much milk that you are storing. So storage tips: clearly label the breast milk with the date It was expressed in the name. So when we did, we recommend using, the name, at least the last name, the date, and the amount. Please put the amount in it. I know that the CDC doesn't state that, but when you've been pumping for a while, like I have, first journey 9 months with 3,000 ounces saved up to get my baby from 9 months to 12 months while we got pregnant with our second. And the second journey was over 3 years, tandem pumping for my infant and my toddler with a freezer stash as well. So please put the time, not just the date, but also please put the amount. Like, is it 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 ounces? We'll give you this to some secret sauce. We really want to make sure that you are able to, when you're freezing, we want you to make sure that you're freezing. We like to do in your baby's feeding increments. So if your baby's taking 3 ounces a session, 4 ounces, 5 ounces, whatever the number is, to freeze in that increment. So if you are out and about and you have a frozen bag, it's easy to already have that increment. You don't have to add more milk to it or take milk out of it. So really freezing in your baby's increments. And like when your baby goes up, to just start using that bag of frozen milk that has a lesser quantity in it until you're at the freezer stash of the amount that your baby's currently taking, which hopefully should level out on average between the 2 and 3 month mark. Typically babies take the same amount until then or after that, typically. Of course, unless you're like me, where my children went to daycare tried for a little bit to get more and more milk out of me. My first son, he was at 4 ounces when he went to daycare. They were like, oh, I think he needs 5. He's not satisfied. Went to 5. Then a few weeks later, they asked for 6. Went to 6, but he kept leaving it back or spitting up more. And I'm like, no, we're going to go back. So both of my children leveled out at about 5 ounces, and they kept that forever. They did not typically take anything more than that. But my children were on the higher side, which perfectly okay. I'm feeding my children, not the society. I don't care if most children, they say, which I don't agree with, but they say take 2 to 3 ounces a session. I don't know what, that's not what I find. That's not what I find when I polled my community. And not saying that my community is representative of everyone, but I'm just saying that it's not typically 2 to 3 ounces. That's not enough when you're bottle feeding, but that's but if you are doing 2 to 3 ounces, that's okay. 2 to 3 weeks, 4 weeks, all of that, but it's all about how often your baby is drinking it, and also, your baby's weight gain and curve and all the things. So it's a lot of considerations to that, but it's just very important to make sure. We like to tell you to freeze in your baby's feeding increments. Avoid storing milk in the door of the refrigerator or freezer to protect the breast milk from temperature changes. So putting it as close to the back as possible. If you don't think you will use the freshly expressed milk within the 4 days, freeze it right away. We'll give you some secret sauce. We like to freeze it within 24 hours. I know the CDC states 4 days, but we really want to make sure that you are freezing in within the 24-hour period, if not flash freezing, which means just literally once it's pumped and you don't need it, to be able to just put it in the refrigerator. If you when freezing your breast milk, store smaller amounts to avoid wasting milk that may not be finished. The amount used in a feeding. So please make sure to, store in your baby's feeding increments is what we're trying to say here. Leave about 1 inch of space at the top of the container because breast milk expands as it freezes. Breast milk can be stored in an insulated cooler with frozen ice packs for up to 24 hours when you are traveling. At your destination, use the milk right away. Store in the refrigerator or freeze it. Hope that helps. Safe thawing of breast milk. So much to say here. Always thaw the oldest breast milk first, because over time, breast milk, you want to get as close to your babies. Keep the oldest milk used first, and then you rotate it where your breast milk freezer stash can always stay as up to date as possible. Ways to thaw your breast milk in the refrigerator overnight, which is what we recommend. Set in a container of warm or lukewarm water under the lukewarm running water. Never thaw or heat your breast milk in the microwave. Can destroy the nutrients and create hot spots. It can really burn your baby. So be careful about how you thaw your milk. We really like to sit in the refrigerator. You can warm if you want to. My children typically took room temperature milk. So as long as I set it out and it's gotten to room temperature, then my children took it. But learn what your baby needs. Some babies, your babies may take cold milk. Some babies, your baby may take room temperature milk. Some of you, your babies may want it warmed. The daycare will warm the milk and give it to baby. So it just depends on asking that question wherever and whoever's keeping your child. how they plan to thaw the milk if you're giving them frozen milk. We personally don't like to give anyone frozen milk. That's too much handling. The bags, they could leak, they could waste as they're pouring it, they could knock it over. We literally, if you are going to daycare, take this as the secret sauce, or somewhere watching your baby that's not you, that has the rest of the milk if something happens to it that's readily available. Please give it to them in your baby's feeding increments, already put in the bottles. Like, don't even risk that. Like, that's what we say. Unless you got some extra bags somewhere, but it just creates too much handling of your milk to kind of keep moving it like that, from the bag to the bottle, and then the bottle to if you're warming it up, or it's just a lot of time for something to happen, or putting a nipple on, like that could spill. Like, you just never know, accidents do happen. So once it's at room temperature or warmed, you have to use it within 2 hours. Never refreeze milk after it's been thawed. So if your milk has been thawed completely, please do not consider refreezing it. If it still has ice crystals in there, as in like you lost power, or something happened and you thought you're going to need it and ice crystals are still left in it, please, you can definitely refreeze it. But please, if it's completely thawed, do not refreeze it. So feeding express breast milk. Breast milk does not need to be warmed. It can be served at room temperature or cold, but it's really about your baby, your baby's tummy, your baby's digestive concerns. If there are any, like I said, my children took room temperature milk. They would take room warmed milk as well. I just knew that I wasn't always going to have warm milk, so with me they took room temperature, but there are plenty of bottle warmers now, travel bottle warmers, so many advancements in the space for your breast milk. And some children, they take it cold. My children didn't really take cold breast milk until after age 1, but it depends on the child. If you decide to warm the breast milk, here are some tips. Keep the container sealed. Place the sealed container into a bowl of warm water, or hold it under warm water, but not hot running water, for a few minutes. Also keep in mind that if you are thawing it in the refrigerator, put it in a container. Don't just let it sit in there, because if it does break or have a cut in the bag and the bag spills, all your milk is gone. But if it's clean container, then you could just take it from that container and put it into the bottle. So we really like a clean container and let it thaw. If you do put it in a cup of water and the bag does have a hole in it, and then your milk is mixed with water, so please, we just have so many reasons why people don't think about when they put out the tips of all the things to think about. We really like for you to thaw your milk in the refrigerator, let it thaw, and if the container has cut in it, then your milk is in a food grade safe container that you could just pour in the bottle. And if you're putting it in the warm water, and then all of a sudden you look at the water and it starts to look white because the bag had a hole in it or some kind of cut, I would just like to avoid that. Place the still, per the rules on the CDC website, is to place the sealed container in a bowl of warm water, or hold it under the warm water but not hot running water for a few minutes. Test the milk's temperature before feeding it to your baby by putting a few drops on your wrist. Do not heat breast milk directly on a stove or in a microwave. Please don't do that. Swirl or shake the breast milk. Yes, you can swirl or shake. It does not matter. It's been well found in research that you'd have to have a huge, type of amount of force to impact the nutrients in the breast milk. So please, you can swirl or shake, whatever is best for you, to mix in the fat, which if it has been separated. If your baby did not finish the bottle, use the leftover milk within 2 hours after baby is finished feeding. After 2 hours, leftover milk should be discarded or put in somewhere safe and marked if you want to give it as a milk bath, soaps, lotions, however you decide to use your milk that has expired and no longer able to be used, but it is no longer, and I repeat, no longer safe for consumption. So please be sure to mark it if you're going to save it and use it later. You don't want to get it mixed up with anything. So like I said, all of this is under the CDC's website, under breastfeeding recommendations of handling your breast milk. So definitely can Google it, and make sure we have a blog post on our website titled Breast Milk Storage, with all of this information as well. But we love to do podcasts instead, so we could give some extra secret sauce and tips. We love to talk more than we write out things, and so it just helps us to be able to give some extra tips and tricks that you can easily listen to. We like to keep our podcast at somewhere no more than 15 to 20 minutes, and we are getting to the 15-minute mark on this podcast, so we want to pause for the cause here. Hope that was enough information for breast milk storage, and we hope that you find this podcast episode helpful. We have a pumping survival guide that's at the bottom of our website at www.pumpwithpurpose.com. If you want to download it, this edition is in there, as well as of right now, 48 total editions. So again, this is Pump with Purpose. This is Dr. Diana here. You can find us on all social media platforms. Instagram, Pump with Purpose is our largest, or our website, www.pumpwithpurpose.com. So we hope that this is helpful. If you ever want to work with us, you can book a consult. We also have pumping guides as well. Those are the two things that we actively have offers for, but definitely a one-on-one premier pumping consult where we can walk through pump, flange, products, and schedule. Make sure you're maximizing your milk supply when you do pump. So this is Dr. Diana here. Until next time with Pump with Purpose.